Before we get into this week's lineup of news, I did want to make a channel announcement that the following episode is actually recorded in video, not just audio. So for those curious on how it looks or just enjoy actually seeing us talk instead of just listening to us, you can head over to YouTube. We will drop a link in the description. It's not exactly what we had envisioned for video recording, at least originally, but it's certainly the general direction we want to work towards. And just to clarify, the debatable episodes that we upload every Saturday or Sunday will continue to be done in audio only, but we are pushing towards the newscast episodes to be recorded in video. And then kind of just a quick recap on how we've come along. June 10th, 2022, we uploaded our first episode to RSS, which was available on a select few platforms like Spotify, and have since then worked our availability up to over 7 podcast platforms. Back on November 18th of last year, we uploaded our first video to YouTube. However, every video upload till this point has only included audio. Just some brief stats for you guys. We've had over 1,200 hits on RSS, which includes Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and many more. Over on YouTube, we've had nearly 700 views, working our way up to 1,000. So we really do appreciate you guys supporting us and checking in every week for all the news and topics we cover. We're definitely excited to be taking one more step to improve our channel, and as time progresses, we will continue to refine various aspects of our episodes to make them more enjoyable for all our viewers and listeners on the multiple platforms that we currently populate. We also continue to encourage you guys to pass along our channel to others you think who might be interested. And as always, like, comment, and definitely subscribe. So without further ado, we will jump right into this week's tech news, rumors, and updates. So if you were looking to buy a brand new product, Riley, and found out that it wouldn't be repairable in any way by the manufacturer, even with a deductible as part of the repairs or whatever, would you still buy it?
No.
Well, one of Google's shiny new kid on the block, coming up at just about a year old, is the Pixel Watch. And even after 11 months of the product being on retail shelves, the watch is not repairable. According to a Google spokesperson that reached out to one of the online tech news publications, he stated that you would have to buy a new Apple Watch as there are no parts or repair program for the product as of yet, which kind of scared me a little bit there. I did not know that that was actually an issue for that watch.
Yeah, neither did I. I was not even aware of that. Just add another one to the you can't repair this bucket.
which is interesting because we do have some repair notes later on in the episode. But yeah, I mean, you'd basically either have to buy maybe a broken one on eBay that might have the part you need in good condition, or you just shell out another few $100s for the smartwatch. So it's just kind of crazy, and
yeah,
especially considering that smartwatch hasn't gained all that much traction.
Yeah, pretty much.
In the first gen iteration, you would likely have to settle for the latter. Yeah, and it makes you wonder about the next gen watch that's set to debut in about 2 weeks. So
yeah, honestly, although it's kind of counterintuitive since Google is always about, being all up in your information. But in terms of actually like device itself, I really felt like they wouldn't be doing that kind of thing. They've done so well to release amazing products. It just seems, honestly, reputable, I think, that they would actually enforce that. And is it just the watch, or is it also their Pixel series?
No, the Pixels are fine. The Pixels actually have a repair program, and yeah, I think even according to iFixit, the watch actually seemed to be quite repairable. They had a good repair score on there compared to other smartwatches and products. So it was just kind of surprising. I couldn't believe that. So I had to bring that up as an intro topic just because I feel like it's worth stating and probably somewhat of a cautionary note for those who are either looking at that or potentially thinking about the Pixel Watch 2. So
yeah, for sure. This is just a quick thing right here. So Google Meet and Zoom call support will be ending for the NestHub Max by the end of this month, September. From what Google states, people will still be able to make calls on the device. They just won't be able to utilize these two programs for video calling. Nothing much really else to say here other than that's going to be the end of this for the NestHub Max, even though neither of us have used that. But didn't know if you had any comments about this specific end of this.
I have a hard time keeping up with in-home smart home hubs.
Yeah,
so
actually, me too.
Amazon and Google, and I believe Meta has theirs as well. So it's kind of hard to keep track of all that, just because I'm a little more skeptical about those types of devices, just because they're always set up, and you never know what's going on. So, do you actually know when that particular model was launched, or does it state that?
September 9th, 2019. So it's been quite a few years.
4 years. Yeah, I can see that.
Makes sense.
It does. I mean, it's had a decent rise. It's had a decent ride, I suppose. But yeah, that is a bit interesting, though.
If this was like 2 years ago, that would make me question why they'd be getting rid of that so early. But
absolutely, I agree with
4
that.
years, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Even apparently on the article, actually, it stated that Zoom had actually made this announcement back in July that it would no longer be in support for the NestHub Max. So this is something we actually missed quite a few months ago. But
yeah, well, that's the thing is like we have such lengthy episodes even between our newscast and the debatable episode that there is always going to be something that we miss. Whether it's always tech-related, car-related, even general news-related. There's always going to be something that we just can't jam into the set list. So that's not surprising. However, and I mean, when you consider all the newer products out there, especially with the Pixel Tab and that dock that comes with it. So I can see a lot more people, clamoring to that newer product. So it's understandable. But moving on to a cellular company. T-Mobile is really making some crazy ambitious strides over the past 5 years. And for some who are eager to see what they will do next, some will be just as curious to hear that they are looking into expanding their ability to provide internet to the home beyond just 5G home internet service that they currently provide.
Okay.
According to sources who have corresponded with a spokesperson from T-Mobile, that while they didn't make any confirmations, they did say that fiber optic internet has long been an interest for the cell giant that has been successfully competing with the likes of Verizon and AT&T in the wireless service department.
Yeah.
The news continues in that they could potentially work with the Tillman Fiber Company and a private equity firm known as Northleaf Capital Partners to achieve the fiber to home ambition. Currently, T-Mobile does have their feet in the water with fiber, but only in New York and Colorado. And with this newly revealed information, could open the door for more states to gain competitive internet pricing between some of the top fiber optic companies out there.
I would assume you'd be paying a heck of a lot more for that tier, probably.
It depends, because here's the thing. You have to construct the network and account for the costs, but you also have to understand what the competitor is offering as well. And a lot of these fiber optic companies are offering some decent packages at competitive prices that even put Charter to shame, considering some of their speeds and packages. So it is true, but you kind of have to take that into consideration as a company, not even as a consumer, but as a company, kind of seeing, okay, what can we offer? What are we capable of? And what would people kind of cater around to? So it's a good point, Riley. It is. And I'm hoping it wouldn't be that as high as some could suspect. But I'm just kind of curious. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's great. Glad T-Mobile's actually doing that. And knowing them, they will make certain that the process is done efficiently and that the end product is made well. So
yeah, and I mean,
pretty
like
excited for that.
there's no, like I said, there's no confirmation necessarily, but the fact that
If
they're
they
looking
did,
into
yeah, if
it
they
and
did do
it's
it,
an
yeah.
interest, yes, exactly, it would be extremely beneficial, and who knows, it could create work for me, someone like me who actually does fiber optic design work prints. So that's something on both levels that I'm appreciative of. So
Yeah, absolutely. So last week we talked about the Nintendo Switch 2, or what both JD and I would hope it would be called, the Super Nintendo Switch, or the SNS.
Yeah.
High hopes there. Well, now we may actually have some plausible information regarding the performance of this yet to be released device.
yeah,
This actually stems from another topic we've been mentioning, and that's Microsoft's acquisition of Activision.
yes,
In a briefing released by Chris Schnackenberg, I think that's how I pronounce it.
we
He's the head of
butcher names on this
Activision's-
show if you haven't
We
caught
do.
on, so it's not like,
It just happens.
it does.
He's the head of Activision's platform strategy and partner relations.
Yep.
He essentially says that Nintendo's next gen will be compared to that of the PS4 and the Xbox One. The article goes on to read that Schnackenberg, I don't still
Even the
sounds so
name.
funny to me. Even the name, it's got to be German. That he actually had a direct briefing with Nintendo last year, so it's entirely plausible that what he's saying here is true. Now, regarding this, I do believe this will come to fruition. Main reason is because the Xbox One and PS4 released in the exact same year of 2013, which by now would be a pretty outdated piece of CPU and GPU, even though they are still fairly powerful consoles.
Yeah.
So for Nintendo to acquire this performance would actually not be that far off of all things considered, but
No.
I mean, what'd you make of all this? Do you think it will happen, or do you think this guy's just making a shot in the dark, or?
At first when I started hearing this stuff, I kind of did think it might have been like a shot in the dark, like you're saying. But when you start to think about it and kind of contemplate, yes, this was like 2013, 2014 consoles. I think it is achievable. I don't think it's too far stretched. If they were talking like PS5, Xbox Series X, then I would be extremely questioning this, because the Switch chassis and package as a whole, I don't feel is capable of those newer feats.
No, I don't think so
they
either.
Take a heck of a lot of cooling and powerful components to
The
achieve
Legion
such
Go.
the Legion Go.
That's where it's at right now.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
something that, well, it's suspectedly, yeah, because we can't confirm what the realistic expectations is, but based on the specs, yes, that is something to aspire to in theory. But yeah, I think this would really bode well for Nintendo, as well as those who are the Nintendo loyalists and fans in gaming. I can't really say too much else to that effect. I did see some of the specs as far as how it's compared to certain GPUs and the CUDA cores that they have. So I'm kind of looking forward to this, because it sounds like it's not just a next gen with some small iterations. It sounds like there actually could be some
Increased
much desirable
performance.
improvements. Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
and that
Yep.
higher chipset in the modern consoles, I do think that Nintendo has the capability in the future to actually attain that. But right now, it just doesn't seem like it.
Yeah, and you also have to think about what their goal would be. Are they going to go back to, or would they offer a secondary console that would be stationary, where it could be a little bit more expansive and harness that type of power inside of a bigger chassis? So it's kind of hard to say. I don't really think Nintendo is that type of company to kind of pursue that. I think they know that their gamers are very loyal, and they love those type of unique, even classic games that have been known by that company. So I don't really think they have a whole lot to worry necessarily. I think the Switch has done very well. Yes, I do think it's time for an upgrade, a refresh to improve the product. But I don't really think that there's anything that they need to go crazy over to stay in the game. No pun intended. So
Yeah, we'll have to see how that works for them. for next year,
because this is
we did
rumors.
hear rumor of that actually happening next year, which actually seems more plausible than this whole, GPU and CPU rumor here. But yeah, we'll have to see. We'll keep you guys updated on what happens there. So moving on to deals, this one, the AirPods Pro 2nd gen with the USB-C MagSafe case is $50 off on Best Buy, which brings it down to $199. However,
Already?
if you also do, yeah, they actually did. It's pretty wild. I know. It's just you never know that. You never really think about that with Apple that they do that, because normally the only companies that do that is Samsung or maybe even Google.
Maybe Google. Yeah. But the fact that Best Buy is jumping in on that is crazy.
And then you can also save up to $80 more when you do a trade-in. So it's a topple deal on that. So those are the second.
They accept trade-ins?
Yeah.
On the AirPod? Oh, that's interesting. I might actually look into that. I didn't realize they were doing that, because that's something that I'm trying to look into as far as, like, do they offer trade-ins? Because I would like to have the USB-C AirPods Pro. So
they can actually be trade-ins from basically anything. V-Moda, JBL, HyperX, Bose, Beats, all that stuff. And then you just choose the model family, the color, the fit, and then you see how much you get back in that. Which, honestly, it makes sense because this is Best Buy, and they normally carry those types of things. So they could refurbish them and sell them back. So, yeah, that makes sense.
It was kind of funny because I saw a post on X from Mark Gurman on how some of these reviews on Apple and the products and the event, some of the information is just kind of a little out there. And one of them was talking about how the new AirPods Pro with the USB-C has like improved, I guess, audio quality or something and battery life, and even though the specs haven't changed. So it's kind of like there's this placebo effect, I guess you could say, with these new products.
That makes sense.
Really only a refresh. Yeah. I'm kind of like, okay, where are you coming from that? But so is Gurman's. But moving on to another deal actually with Xbox, the Seagate Storage expansion card for the Series X and Series S is down from $220 to $150 for the 1 terabyte card, and down from $400 to $280 for the 2 terabytes. So if you're looking to get some more storage on your Series X or Series S, that's definitely a plausible way to do it.
Yeah, that is actually a really good deal right there.
Yeah, I'm was half tempted to do it as well, except we're kind of tight on money. So,
yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Moving back along here to our major news today, I think, and maybe you might disagree with this, JD, but I think the old OnePlus that we know and love is emerging from the shadows, if you will. Now, I don't want to jinx anything, so hopefully me saying this doesn't cause them to release some crazy thing.
Right.
But images have surfaced from the company themselves showcasing the OnePlus Pad Go. This would be basically a mid-tier entertainment tablet, according to the CEO of OnePlus, Kinder, and would take on a 144 hertz display, and that display would be 11.6 inches. As far as cost or performance or even camera quality, we really don't have a whole lot of info with that. However, this tablet would see sort of a smooth transitional ecosystem where all your calls, storage, and pretty much anything else would be saved and connected through your OnePlus devices. This seamless transition of multiple devices is something that both Apple and Samsung do very well and have done very well in the last few years, especially with Apple's own pads. So to see OnePlus actually do this would be great news for buyers. And aside from all of that, we really don't have a whole lot of info for you guys at this time. But do you have any comments about this specific tablet? Or
I don't know. I'm always wondering if you're adding one more product to the lineup when you already have one there, what benefit does that offer? So I'm guessing it's maybe some cost over performance. I mean, clearly that sounds like the right goal.
Yeah.
When they call it the OnePlus Pad Go. So, yeah, I mean, the continuity you're talking about, I can definitely see that as being a major advantage between, their phone, the tablet, and the watch. So, I guess I'm glad to see that they're trying to kind of cater towards that lower end. because I feel like a lot of people are trying to push that higher end, with Samsung. I guess you could say technically Apple, although they do have those, like the base iPad and the iPad Air.
They have a lot more different tiers.
They do.
I actually think I kind of disagree with your point that it's just adding another device, because last year we saw them, well, and even the year before that, there was just one phone device that they released.
Yeah.
I feel like I think I said this before in a previous episode, you have to have a balance between like 4 or 5 different devices and just one. I think 2 or 3 is like right where you want to be. Maybe 4, but past that, it's just kind of crazy. So I'm actually more glad, if that's the right way to say it, I'm actually more glad that they are releasing a secondary tablet. And, doing more of those types of things, I think would allow there to be more buyers in their ecosystem. I feel like that just makes more sense. But
that's true. I mean, it's kind of like when you think about it, it's kind of like how we do our podcast. We've been adding another episode, possibly a third one that's been in the talk, to our channel, which is, listed more views. So you have some more products, you could get some more buyers. I see the positive side of it for sure. I guess it just kind of depends on how it fares and how many people. Plus, it also depends on OnePlus, because I can never quite trust them on what model is going to be available in what region. So that's another whole aspect that I hate to think about.
Yes. That just reminded me of the watch they released, where it was only available in one place.
Yeah. So
can't do that to me, man. But
which is actually, this is not. It was in the set list. I decided to 86 it because I wasn't really sure about how well it would do in the market, but we've got some rumors about Nothing and the CMF sub company that they have, and we've already seen some rumors about the watch. And evidently they're going to have one that's entitled, per the rumors, a Watch Pro. Which
already,
it didn't really make any sense to me why you would have a company that even Carl Pei has stated it was supposed to be geared towards kind of the lower end, low budget type of consumers.
Yeah.
And yet you're going to have a model called the Watch Pro. That kind of threw me off a little bit, because I'm wondering why that would be the case. That's something I feel like Nothing would actually do as far as the brand name.
Yes,
but not CMF. So, there's been some skeptical aspects to it, and I think one of the biggest things is, and that's the reason why I didn't really put it on, or at least have it in the actual set list, was it's the announcement is supposed to take place in India, which they're wondering if the product is going to stay in India as far as availability. So that's the other side to it. I think they converted like what are those, the rupees or something? They converted it to USD, and it was like $55 or $60. So when you look at the pricing conversion, it's pretty unlikely that you're going to see it come to the States. But anyway, that's just a side point to what OnePlus is doing as far as the pad go. But
exactly.
Kicking it back to Google, though, I had seriously contemplated whether I wanted to showcase this quote-unquote retraction, I guess you could say, on a rumor that we had previously voiced on a prior episode. But considering that this is such a critical piece of the future of Pixel phones in the upcoming months, here it is. According to an insider, it looks as though that due to a chip development delay from TSMC, Google will continue to stick with Samsung's Exynos-based chipset node for their phones. So, as I was expecting on an even better improvement on the Pixel 9, it looks as though there will only be minimal improvements, and looks to be the same for even the 2025 production as well.
I did see that, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a downer right there, because I was expecting a lot from that, but
yeah.
But that's just the way it goes right now with shortages and stuff like that. Really can't do much about it, so hopefully they release that in the 10 series. We'll have to see if that comes to fruition.
Yeah, same here. And that's the other thing is, like, part of me doesn't like to bring these up because I never know what's happening. It's kind of like the whole entire thing that happened last year with the iPhones. Oh, the price isn't going to increase. The price is going to increase, and it never did. And I feel like that's
Right.
something that typically happens year over year with Apple specifically. But it's just one of those things that I don't like to go back and forth. But in this case, I feel it probably should be stated just because that was a huge impact on where we see the Pixel phones going. So.
Exactly. Man, that stinks. Well, this is a pretty wild one, so just hold on to your rumpus there. Since last Wednesday, which is September 13th, there's been an uproar in the UN regarding the iPhone 12. And this all started when France publicly announced that they would no longer be selling the 2020 model for the concern of high radiation than internationally legalized. The legal this I love science, but this is the large word. So the legal electromagnetism, which causes the radiation, is 4 watts per kilogram.
Okay.
However, after allegedly running multiple tests on the 12, France found that it was about 5.74 watts per kilogram of energy output. Now,
Okay.
after this, Apple contested, as they normally would, that these devices were tested by Apple and third parties internationally and were verified to be under the allotted limit. Then Apple told all of their employees to keep quiet about all of this if anyone would question this ordeal. Apple did tell its employees that if someone does ask about it, they either say, have no comment, or reinforce the idea that basically all phones have been tested and verified to meet international standards. But then, France and many other countries in the UN at this point, I think that includes Germany and a couple others, I can't remember, they told Apple to release a software update that would combat the amount of radiation coming off of the phone, or they would no longer be selling it. The last part of the story here is that Apple is in the works to release an update to do just that. Now, some of you at home may be wondering, how can you release an update that would decrease radiation? Why would it emit this much more energy now if it was approved and met international standards back in 2020? And why is France bringing this up now? Well, there have been many plausible theories that have arisen, and one of them is that a new iPhone 12 is powered on, and when it's searching for a signal, it emits that higher frequency or that higher amount of radiation at that time. And that would obviously make for some high concerns. Another theory is that France has a much stricter level of how much radiation can be outputted, which, if that is the case, why would France suddenly bring it up a day right after the Apple event, mind you, right now when that iPhone is now 3 years old? This is where the speculation comes into play. So, JD, I will let you give your take first on this ordeal. You may ask any question you like. I will do my best to answer it.
You saw that coming.
Yes.
Actually, I don't think I have any questions right off the bat.
Surprising. Because I had said a lot there.
You did. I guess. Not sure if you were asking this rhetorically, but you wouldn't believe how much software updates impact what a phone can do and how it works. Matter of fact, I've seen this happen a lot when it comes to mechanics in vehicles because so much of that stuff is software controlled. And things like, how much the valves are opening, how quickly they're opening, how much fuel is being let into the chambers and stuff like that. All sorts of facets of an engine, it can be controlled via a software update or adjusted.
Exactly.
So it's pretty impressive how far we've come. So I can definitely believe, like what you're saying, they're trying to release an update to adjust that because they can change how strong that signal is searching based on the components via the software.
Yeah.
So that part definitely makes sense to me. The irony that they're trying to, or the irony that, oh no, they're not trying to, France is making them. Is that what you were saying? Or requesting them to do so?
They're requesting to release the software update, otherwise they will not allow the 12 to be sold anymore.
Gotcha. Which is kind of... If I were Apple, I would be surprised if they did release an update. Because here's the thing. I don't really think a 12th gen is going to make that much impact on, the revenue.
Yeah, especially considering that thing is... Because the 15 came out, I actually saw in the article that they discontinued the 12 on their website.
Yeah, exactly. So
and
I don't really think it's going to make that much problem.
Yeah, but that's still... It also mentioned that the newer 12s you can still buy online and in marketplaces. So even then... Yeah. But yeah, it's weird, and it just right now in the middle of all of this, again, right after the Apple event, it just seems highly suspect, I think.
Why did it take them that long?
I know, right?
What is it, 3 years to realize this? That part is just way off. I don't even get that, and
that's what
why
I'm saying.
It's becoming such a major concern right now, unless the stipulation is changed and France got even more strict. I don't understand the backstory to it all, so that I'm not... Yeah, that is really a weird...
I don't know.
Weird news topic right there. I can't say that I'm surprised that when the signal is low or whatever, it's trying to search harder, because that also affects your battery, which is why a lot of people put their phone in airplane mode if they're hiking or whatever, just because the cell signal, and they want to save the battery for later on. That part makes total sense. But yeah, that is really... Was there anything else to that item?
There may have been a couple things that I missed, but that's basically the gist of the story. I've looked through multiple articles just to kind of get some different information that one article may not have stated. Yeah. So, yeah, and funny thing is I actually saw this article, one of these articles last week, and my mother-in-law mentioned this to me because she saw it online. She sent me the link, and I was like, huh, that's interesting. Maybe there is actually something to this. And so I actually told her I would put it on this week's episode. So there you go, mother-in-law. But yeah, it's really weird. And I think there's reason for concern. I also think maybe this is overreacted just a bit. I really can't tell, because you never know with mobile devices. They do emit that radiation to an extent.
Oh, they do. Yeah.
Which is why you should... Go ahead.
No, I was probably going to follow up with what you were going to say, which is why they actually recommend you not, have the phone close to you when you're sleeping.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly on point. Yeah.
So they actually...
No, go ahead.
They actually have, and I saw this on one thing because Apple posted on their forum, they actually have limitations for how far you're supposed to keep it from your head, and it depends on the phone. So, and obviously Apple knew this to begin with, and that's why they released that forum just now, because those are those there we go. Those are the things that they released because they figured maybe some people might say, hey, this isn't supposed to be like this, and they say, well, here's what we've got. So I don't know. Yeah, it's all crazy. I'm kind of like
trying to cover their own butt
in the middle of all this. I'm not going to necessarily say that it's true. I'm not going to necessarily say that it's false. It's hard to tell at this point. I feel like there needs to be a little more data, unless you actually see like one side being more plausible than the other. I don't know. It's really weird.
I mean, it's not that I question France's concern.
Yeah, no, I don't either.
I think that's important. I think that's the right way to go about it. But like we said, I think it's the timing, and it's a little odd about Apple's approach to it, especially internally. That's a little bit suspect as well.
Yeah.
So there is just a lot going on that makes you wonder what the heck is driving all this. So
exactly.
But yeah, I'm sure that'll probably be something that we'll follow up later on, because as always, there's more to the story.
Yep.
But closing out, actually, this does coincide right along with Apple. There isn't a whole lot of complexity to this final item here, and other than many consumers would be relieved to know, that Apple is pushing to reduce the cost of repairs on their iPhone. As a matter of fact, they have. As we noted in our recent weekend episode, Apple improved the internal structure and design of their iPhones. And as such, we are now seeing just how much of an impact the cost to repair, especially for pro users, has taken. So last year, we saw this take place with the baseline iPhones, and now pro users only have to spend between $170 to $200 to have their phones repaired if the back glass was busted.
Dang.
And that may still sound like a lot, but when you consider that they used to cost between $500 to $550 for the Pro and Pro Max, that is a major reduction.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I didn't think that was high at all in comparison to that, because I figured it was about 500 or somewhere in that range. But no, yeah, that's great. And that was one of the things that actually JD and I were very surprised to see on that Apple event. And one of the things that we actually loved about the 15 Pro and Pro Max was that ability to do that. And I feel like once Apple starts seeing that this is for the better for consumers, they'll start doing a lot more of this, I think, if they're actually really thinking about this logically, really using some reason in all of this. I mean, you just got to think about what would be the best for consumers to keep buying your products, and just limiting them like they've done in the past. Really, I don't think that's really helped them a whole lot. But now that they're doing this, you can see the evidence just right now. Like just JD said, it's like all of that's gone to like half at most price cut. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is really impressive. And I think the fact that we've kind of talked on this and probably maybe beaten a dead horse, who knows?
I think we got close.
Just how, they're trying to pursue the carbon neutral aspect of it all.
Yeah.
Well, when you increase the repairability of the phone, even though it might hurt you as far as revenue in some way, shape, or form, a consumer is far less likely to buy a newer product if they can repair it at a lower cost. So that's also beneficial too, because you're not spending so much money on, newer parts or whatever. So it's kind of one of those things. And I think the fact that they're trying to push this and look at how repairable a product is, like you're saying, Riley, is really amazing. And I'm glad that they're pushing this for sure, because I think as a consumer myself, if you see like a crack, the back is cracked and busted, it's one more reminder. Oh, I probably do need a new iPhone, So versus it's still in good shape. I feel like it's still running okay, even though I'm on an iPhone XS and the software is slowing me down.
Exactly.
As we all suspect.
The 10 is next for the cutthroat there.
The 10? Or you said the 10S?
Well, the 10 series, they won't be getting updates probably. I think it's next year.
I think the 10S would probably be next year. The 10 actually did get the X this year for iOS 17. So.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah. There's so many. I mean, they do have them. I mean, when you think about, so you got the 10S, you got the 11, 12, 13, 14. And now we're on the 15, so you got like 6 models that are actually actively being supported. So it's the way to go. So, but with that said, that closes out our episode for this week. We will certainly be back, hopefully on Saturday for some more news. I've already got one article that kind of bit interesting. Outside of that, this is JD and Riley, and we will catch you guys in the next one.
Peace out.